All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Denver Broncos in tonight's video because free agency begins in about 2 weeks. We have the draft in 2 months. The NFL offseason is about to be back in full force. And I love this Broncos team, and I view them as maybe heavy spender is the wrong word, but I think they're going to make a boatload of different moves. And I think a lot of them are going to be offensive oriented in the sense of Genty. Who knows? First round pick, Tyler Warren, first round pick. They're going to get a tight end. They could get a Chris Godwin. They could get a T. Higgins. This is going to be a very exciting offseason for the Denver Broncos. Just in a whole, their 10-7 season. I know they got routed by Buffalo, only scoring 7 points. I'm glad Bo Nix and that whole team was able to get valuable playoff experience. But just at the end of the day, when we zoom out for the Denver Broncos at this time last year, it really is unbelievable. And it's just awesome. And this is one of the teams that everybody has their eyes on, mainly highlighted by Bo Nix, Sean Payton. But there's a lot to be excited about with this team. They just scored 25 points per game this past season with a rookie QB. That was 10th in the National Football League. But I do want to talk about some potential upgrades that they could make to their roster. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I don't think I've made a Broncos video since that loss, so welcome back. Shout out to our sponsor, BetUS, but we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So I was reading an article by PFF, and it's still February, like free agency. Technically, the combine begins this upcoming Thursday, and free agency is like a little over 2 weeks away from the time of this recording. But it's just a lot of speculation. It's a lot of rumors. So I kind of want to go into it and talk about it. I was reading an article on PFF, and they did like this for all 32 teams. It was the best dream fantasy free agent signing and first round draft pick, and I really like it for both of them. Their free agent dream signing at wide receiver would be Mr. Chris Godwin, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And regardless if it's Chris Godwin, draft pick, another free agent acquisition, one thing remains clear: you just want to keep prioritizing Bo Nix's arsenal, right? And I think Chris Godwin is a really good candidate, but I also do think I live here in Tampa Bay, Florida, and I really think he's going to re-sign with Tampa. But just to give you an illustration, if he doesn't, Godwin was on pace for his best season since his breakout 2019 campaign. He posted the third highest receiving grade at his position through week 7, but then unfortunately he dislocated his ankle and was done for the rest of the season. But whether it's Chris Godwin or Amari Cooper or T. Higgins or Keenan Allen, I think the point just stands. Bringing in another seasoned vet along with Courtland Sutton to pair up with Courtland Sutton is just really going to boost the Denver Broncos passing game for this upcoming season. And then I have to talk about the tight end room because you guys have the 20th overall pick, all right? All right, guys, before we get back into this video here, once again, shout out to our sponsor, BetUS. We're over here on their website looking at the 2025-2026 AFC Conference winner, and I know this is a little bit out there, but hey, Bo Nix and the Broncos just went 10-7 and made the playoffs. We got the Broncos sitting here at plus 1,600 over on BetUS, but guys, just remember they're offering 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two, all with the code YouTube150. Folks, let me know if there's any way, shape, or form this Denver Broncos team can win the conference next year. Let's get back to the video. And I love mock drafts where I see Ashton Gentry. I always say that Ashton Genty to Denver, but at pick number 20, I think it's honestly more of a dream. We'll talk about that in just 1 second here. But at pick number 20, and just in the first 2 rounds in general, the Broncos have a really good opportunity to draft their tight end of the future. And just this past season, the Broncos had less receiving production from the tight end position than any other team in the National Football League. And I'm looking at a guy like Tyler Warren at pick number 20. I think he fits what Sean Payton's looking for. He's just a premier tight end prospect in this 2025 NFL draft class. And, honestly, he might be off the board before pick number 20, especially because, you guys know Las Vegas, they drafted Brock Bowers. Now, obviously, Brock Bowers was a top 10 pick, and he had, kind of the generational tag heading into his NFL career. But Brock Bowers is the absolute truth. And if Denver can snag somebody like that in the first round, I think it would be worthwhile. If he's still available, I think it's just a perfect fit. This past year at Penn State, 104 catches, 1,233 yards, 8 touchdowns. And folks, he came in 8th in the Heisman. And once again, this is a tight end, but just in case you weren't really feeling, first round tight end, they could possibly make a trade for Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram. Like, obviously the position needs to be upgraded. It should be first, and maybe not first, but it should be a top 3 priority for this team, whether it's free agency or the draft. And like I said, free agency begins in a couple of weeks, so we're going to get a better idea of what Denver's first round pick is or what it won't be based on what they do in free agency. So let's just say, in theory, they go out there and they make a trade for Evan Ingram. Well, they're probably not going to draft Tyler Warren or a tight end in the first 2 rounds. But I just, Evan Ingram, I'm going Tyler Warren, but Evan Ingram via trade, if Liam Cohen, the new head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, if that was something they were interested in, I do think Denver would also be interested. Adam Troutman was the most productive tight end for this team last year, and considering his stats, 13 catches for 188 yards and a couple of touchdowns, it just needs to be upgraded. All right. But next, moving forward, I wanted to talk a little bit about the draft because I love doing mock drafts. There's just so many freaking draft picks. There's 7 rounds. There's a lot of prospects to evaluate, and we still have 2 months. So I read an article on PFF from Josh Leiskowitz, and I really liked, in theory, his first 4, 5, 6 round mock draft. And I'm just going to kind of breeze through it because I want to hear from Broncos fans down below if you like the idea of this. We just mentioned Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State, by far the best running back in this year's class. The running back room statistically was 16th in the National Football League for the Denver Broncos last year, but considering Javonte Williams only running for 513, that's a 3.7 yards per carry average. Probably not going to be the starter this upcoming season. They could look towards Julio McLaughlin, who also had about 500 yards, averaging 4.4 yards per carry. But honestly, he's more of a gadget guy, right? And they have a really deep room. Audric Estime, they drafted out of Notre Dame, my favorite college football team out there. He had a good rookie season, averaging about 4.1 yard per carry. And then Tyler Beatty, before he got injured, was also doing really good things. He ran 11 times for 86 yards, but it's just still a really small sample size. It just feels like there's too many cooks in the kitchen with all 4 of those running backs. And if you have if you got the option to draft Jeanty at pick number 20, I think they're going to 100% jump on that. Round 2, pick 52, Josh had you guys selecting Sebastian Castro out of Iowa. I really like this because he had a phenomenal 2023 year. He was targeted 74 times. He allowed just 40 catches, didn't allow a touchdown. He also had 3 interceptions and forced 8 incompletions. Just bolster up that safety room, thinking more long-term. And then finally, getting back to the offense, he had you guys selecting at pick number 84 in the 3rd round, Jalen Royals out of Utah State. He missed the final 5 games of the 2024 season with a foot injury. Still played in the Senior Bowl, but the dude was an absolute stud. 58 receptions in just 7 games. He had 853 yards, 440 of those were yards after the catch. I think he, there's a lot of young, nice pieces in this receiving room. So once again, just to go back to the beginning of this video, we're going to get a better gauge of what Denver's going to do in the draft based on what they do in free agency. I would 100% just give Cortland Sutton an extension, Devon Vele, Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Troy Franklin, the rookie. There's a lot of intrigue there, but still, regardless, I would like them to continue to bolster up Bo Nix's weapons. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let me know your thoughts on the Broncos offseason down below. We'll talk soon.